In this video, I'm working on a Mitsubishi S3L engine that's in a Cub Cadet. I was hoping that it was just a simple blown head gasket. I'm going to show you how I took the head off and I inspected the head and the head gasket, looked for head gasket damage. But alas, this project won't get finished today because the head's cracked. I need to go find a new head. So this is a bit of a bummer, of course, but you can see there's some pitting and rusting inside the second cylinder here, and then there's a crack right here. Let's just zoom in. Do you see that right there? That crack going from the exhaust valve down here. That's what I discovered. But anyways, I hope this video, it's just going to be a teardown video. I hope this is somehow useful to you. And when I get the parts in, I'll make a second video of replacing the head, and depending on how much money I want to spend, I might have to lap the valves and swap all these out, and we'll see. So thank you for watching. Enjoy this video. Alright, today I'm working on this Cub Cadet 7265, and it has a blown head gasket. At least that's what I diagnosed it with. So what's going on is the out of the muffler, a lot of steam, and then out of the radiator it's just bubbling out exhaust and shooting out all the exhaust. And this is a little non-turbo 3-cylinder Mitsubishi. And what is its designation? It's a S3L Mitsubishi. So anyways, I'm going to see about getting the head off of it today and replacing the head gasket. Alright, so over here on what would be the passenger side of the engine block, if you look right on the, see right there, that's the fuel injection. It says the model number of the engine, the S3L. The way I figured out it was a Mitsubishi was just by googling the tractor number, and it's like, oh yeah, engine made by Mitsubishi. I'm going to start by removing the hood just to give me better access. Alright, let's just set that aside. And just so I have less bolts to keep up with, I'll throw these back in where they came out from. One less thing to remember, you know? When I look at this, it appears that I might be able to pull the head off with the exhaust intact and the intake intact. I'm thinking I can turn the fuel off, drain the radiator, and then disconnect these three fuel lines to the injectors, and then I should be able to do it. So let's just try it that way first before trying anything else. So here on the back side is the water separator for the diesel, and so it's got markings that says open this way, so if we turn it the other way, they'll be off. Then over here on the passenger side again, there's a I got a piece of sheet metal to try to collect the antifreeze. I'm just gonna open this up and see where it runs. It's gonna collect it in a bucket, reuse it. So I'm going to start disconnecting things that are connecting the head to to everything else. And these are neat zip ties on here. They're reusable. They got a little lever you can push, and then you can just take them right off. So just remove those. And there's this is the intake, the air intake. So I got that clamp loose. Let's see how that'll come off. Alright, so the air intake is disconnected. That's cool. I see a little wire here, ground wire. I assume that's ground. What if that's hot? You know what? Let's just take the negative off the battery first before I make any mistakes. Alright, battery is disconnected. Let's see about whatever this is. Oh, this is the glow plugs. Okay, let's disconnect the glow plugs. I'm gonna put the washers and the nut back on so I don't have to keep up with those. There's a few little things. There's a hose over here. I don't know what it goes to. Oh, it's a return for the fuel line for the injectors. Then what is this? This is a tachometer. Let's get that disconnected. So the tachometer weaves itself through the exhaust manifold, so it's got to go. There's this clip up here, which is just soft metal. Bend that out of the way. I've never taken this off before. Just assume that it'll spin off. And once that's loose, what happens? It pulls right out. Okay, that's cool. The tachometer will pull out and get out of the way. Nice. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the valve cover gasket. Valve cover. So I'm just going to get that vent hose out of the way. Now, this is a 12 millimeter. It's got to loosen everything. How many are there? There's 4 bolts for the valve cover. I need a deep socket to reach that one. And I'm just going to loosen all these bolts and keep up with them and not drop any on the ground. Alright, bolts are off. I'm just going to try getting under here somewhere. There we go. Valve cover is loose and free. Don't look so bad. Alright, so this is the rocker arm assembly. I was just collecting some of the oil that was sitting on top here. This is also a 12 millimeter. I'm just going to loosen these a little at a time. There's a little, there's a little, there's a little. Cool. And so this whole rocker arm assembly just pulls right off with 3 bolts. Just going to pick this up. Yeah, wow. Then these are the push rods. It's going to be 6 of them because it's a 3-cylinder. The big side on top and the ball on the bottom sitting in the lifters. I assume these are all the same. So I'm just going to mix them up. And now I'm going to go for the fuel lines. Alright, so these fuel lines, these hard fuel lines, we're going to have to bleed these once we get it put back together because there's going to be a lot of air in the system. A 17 millimeter fits the top and the bottom. Let's see. Not too tight. Make a mental note of that. We'll see how much leaking we get. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay, yeah. They'll pop right off. So if I pull this nut up, will that allow me access? Oh. Huh. I'm going to have to put a backing nut down here because it's trying to spin the whole thing. What this one? What would this one do? Well, this one will come off. Alright, so with this one loose and spinning, I've removed this guy. I don't know what this is, but it's got like a spring thing in it, and there's an O-ring on it. So I've taken this out so I can get a backing wrench on here. And let's see. If I can get this one off without wrecking it. I really should have an actual pipe. A pipe wrench. Fuck. You know what I'm saying? One of those open end box ends. Ugh. Wow, that is tight. This is the only one on here that was tight. Alright, got it. Now with that loose, I can get this fuel line off. So now with all those loose, this should come right off. Very nice. There's the hard lines for the from the injection pump to the injectors. Set that aside. Let's see if we can tighten this thing up. These were pretty tight, so I'll give it a little bit of hell. Like that. I'll put this one back in. So that O-ring will be okay. And then if these leak after I get it reassembled, I'll just go buy some more parts, I guess. There's actually a lot of part buying in the future because it's the water pump that's leaking. I haven't bought a water pump for it yet, but that was the main culprit for water leak that I can see, unless it was just secretly burning it for a while without me knowing. Get this line just completely out of my way. So I'm gonna take off this fuel line way back in the back, and then I'm gonna loosen the head, and I think I'll be able to pick that up. Well, actually, I need to take this upper radiator hose off. Where the thermostat is and the temperature sensors, it's bolted to the head. Okay, so I got the radiator hose off of here, and then this little bypass thing for the coolant to the pump, and then back here, here's the what I'm guessing is a the overflow for the fuel. I think that's disconnected. I think I'm free. So let's go for taking the head bolts off. All right, so I'm going to loosen the head bolts in order, and I don't know if you can see that. I printed this offline, just a few pages of the service manual. And the way I found the service manual is I typed in service manual Mitsubishi, what is that, 3SL or whatever this engine's called, and then .pdf into Google. And then it popped up a PDF version which was free and downloadable. So it has a pattern here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to follow that pattern as I loosen these. And so the front is over here. So I'm going to do it that way. And it says to do it in 2 or 3 steps. So this is number 1. And we're just going to loosen it a little. And this will keep the head from getting warped or something. I don't know. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow the rules. Alright, so now that I got the initial loosening done, I'm switching to the 3/8 inch driver. So, alright, 1, 2, 3. Wait, which one was it? This is 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, well I guess I only did it in 2 steps because they get pretty loose pretty quick. Let's just go ahead and take all these out and see if this head will just lift right off for us. That'd be pretty sweet. I got all the head bolts out. Now we just gotta see if I get some movement on this head. Let's see. Let's see if I'm strong enough to pick this up. Oh, it's connected to the alternator. That's a problem.
Do you want anything to drink or anything?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you.
I'll leave to it.
Alright, so there's one bracket that I missed for the alternator. So let me just loosen this. And then we're going to get this one off. Whoops. Right when someone walks up too. It's always like that. Looking like an idiot in front of others. Alright, I'm just going to jab that back in there so I don't lose it. Alright, let's try this one more time. Oh yeah. Okay, that's nice and lightweight. That's good. Now let's see if we can see where the head gasket's blown. Alright, so here's the old head gasket. And it's a little hard to see, but this is on the back side, the rear cylinder, and typically it always seems like it's always the rear cylinder that's having the problems. It's where maybe it cools the least effectively or whatever. But if you look real close, do you see how this edge here is just slightly out of round. It's just not quite like the rest of them. And then also it's got some damage to the metal here. And I don't know how to show that to you, but this little piece of metal right here came off right inside of there. So anyways, it blew on the rear cylinder, and the others probably weren't too far behind from the overheating that this thing was suffering from. This isn't the most clear cut. Like sometimes you get a head gasket out and it's just straight up, you know, blown into a water jacket or whatever you call it. And but this one, you know, that seems open and cut to me. It got deformed and started leaking, and it ran fine. It just was blowing steam. So this sort of damage for how it was running makes sense to me. So I'm gonna call it head gasket. All right, so here's the back and the front. I have an old chisel that's kind of too worn out for woodwork, so I'm gonna do the rough cleanup with this. I'm gonna try to keep the material out of the oil, but it probably needs an oil change anyway, so it's a little graphite stuff. I don't think it's the end of the world if it gets in there. Alright, so here's a close-up, I guess. But can you see how the cylinder sleeves are darker on the bottom or the passenger side than the driver's side, I guess? And they're like that in all three cylinders. I wonder if that's a clue to the overheating, or the difference in cooling, or the flow of the coolant as it travels through here. While one side has this darker patina and the other side looks brand new. Because you can't scrape this stuff off. I mean, trying to. Where it blew out, there's some texture to it. It's like the sleeve is slightly elevated, or maybe that's some buildup or gunk. I'm still trying to scrape that off. But it's only like, there's no texture there. There's no texture there. No texture around these parts. Well, let's clean it. Get it clean, it won't be texture. But over here, quite a bit of texture. So if that doesn't scrape off, this might need more than there might be more problems, but yeah, we'll see. Alright, so doing some heavy scraping, that has done wonders for that texture. So that was definitely the blowout. I think that's a double confirmation that there's some wicked gunk buildup over here where it was leaking. I'm gonna start cleaning the head. This backside over here is where I think the blowout happened. So yeah, whatever. So I'm just gonna do the bulk with this and then switch to a razor blade. I guess we can take off some of this carbon. Man, I think this head is cracked. So as I was cleaning it, I noticed there's a lot of pitting in this middle cylinder, you know, like water and stuff. So even though the defect on the head gasket was way back here in this corner, do you see that? Let's see how close we can get and still be in focus. Alright, so here's the middle cylinder. And you see this is labeled exhaust EX, right? But do you see that? It's a pretty significant crack right there in the middle cylinder's exhaust port, and then there's all this pitting from, I guess, rust and moisture and whatever. So that might be where our water leak is. We can't just reuse this, I don't believe. I'm gonna see what a new head costs. Do you see that? That is a crack in the head, in the middle of the head. Actually, I don't have enough experience to know if that's rare or not, but that's where it's cracked. Shit. Alright, since this project's going to be delayed for a while, waiting for a new head to come in, I'm just going to wrap some things up and protect them from the weather, because this, you know, I'm not sure how long this is going to sit. So, you know, I'm just going to shove the fuel rail in a bag, and all the bolts in a bag. And then I'm also going to bag up the rocker arm assembly. And they're nice and oily, so they'll preserve very well in this bag. Because I don't want to lose anything or have anything destroyed by weather, right? So I'm just going to leave those right over here. All right, so I was in high school auto tech, and that's where I learned to, you know, really like rebuild engines and whatnot. But anyways, one of the things that my auto tech teacher would always have us do is anytime we're leaving something to sit for a while, I mean, this is a steel block and it will rust. And he just hose it down with, you know, some oil like WD-40. So I'm gonna do that as well, just to help prevent surface rust. That way the surface is nice and intact. I'm going to place a trash bag on top of it. Just try to prevent, you know, crap from falling in there. I'm just going to go ahead and set the head with its, you know, crack and all, just right on top of that. This will be good practice for what it's like trying to reassemble it. Alright, so if I set it on like that while I'm trying to reassemble it, I would be damaging all this stuff. I'd probably be damaging the new head gasket, right? So you need to be a little bit more careful than that. Alright, I think that's on there. A little wobbly. I'll just place the valve cover gasket on top. A little crunchy from leaves and things that have already intruded into here. Alright, then I'm going to put the sidewalls and the hood back on, and this should be safe to sit for a while. Well, that's about as much weatherproofing as I can do with this. Catch you on that next video. Hey, thank you so much for staying tuned to this point. Kind of a long, unsatisfying video when you don't actually fix something, but that's just how this project worked out. So, see you next time.